We have to start allowing for more and vibrant forums. Now, the only organizers of religious forum that's allowed to operate are the government-sanctioned ones. You have Chandra Muzaffar for Just International, but everything is BN sanctioned, and that's the problem. If you want to invite different voices to emerge, including in discussing Islam and the future of reform and the different models that exist, even the Turkish model as a point of discussion, then you need to allow and give them the freedom to discuss it in Malaysia. But like I said, for me that's the reality. And right now the attack against Anwar Ibrahim has of course been his supporting gay rights, from being a homosexual to supporting gay rights. So the issue of homosexuality, the issue of religion has been so badly polarized and politicized. And I do agree with you that it's not easy when a particular race is defined as a Muslim, practicing certain customs, bearing certain cultural characteristics. But again, I said, we have to base the beginning of reform on a certain group of principles, and the federal constitution is where we have decided to stick with. I don't know,
I've been talking too much about cows, so let me
remind you, you have 100 million people lawsuit against you. So.
I've been going around the whole country talking about cows for the last 3 months, so allow me to at least touch about 2 or 3 other things being brought. I think Uncle Kamal, it's a question that people always ask us about Pakatan cooperation. I think one thing that a lot of us forget is there is one whole generation of people in Pakatan now who have been doing this for the last 12 years. Izzah and myself do not know any other parties throughout our life. The first political party that we know is Keadilan. And likewise, there are people in the AP, the likes of Anthony Loke, the likes of Liu Chin Tong, Tony Hua. There are people in PAS, people like Dr. Hatta, Dr. Zulkifli. We were the Reformasi generation. We plunged into politics because of the upheaval of the 98. And we have been together since 1998. Although we were in different parties, but our approach and our fight has been common. We were brothers in arms being sprayed with FRU water cannons, and sisters in arms as well. So that's why after 12 years, after 12 years, the kind of cooperation you see, not just at the top level. You see, this worry whether or not cooperation in Pakatan can last, I think stems very much from the feeling that there is only this loose understanding at the top. But after 12 years, we have gone 1 step, in fact 2 steps lower. The second step is actually at the second level, the secretariat level. Izzah is in the secretariat, myself is in secretariat, Chin Tong from DAP, Tony from DAP, and then you have Dr. Zol, you have Dr. Hatta, Salahuddin. We work, in fact, I think sometimes we work a lot more closer in Secretariat Pakatan than in our own parties. So it's, and because of 2008, we actually have 5 governments, state governments. So that kind of cooperation is then translated into policies and the administration of the 4 states. So all this, after 12 and 4 years governing states, the cooperation has been cemented a lot more than just a convenient to topple BN. I think there is a sense of togetherness, a sense of shared destiny. And because of that, I usually laugh off if people say that if any one of you doubts that Pakatan is not going to stay around, I bet my whole money on it, it will be too, not much. Whatever I can give after I got sued and settlement, whatever it is, I can tell you 2 or 3 generations after this, I think Pakatan will stay around because it has gone down to the 2nd and 3rd and 4th generations of political activists. In terms of roadmap, same as roadmap. One point that a lot of people miss is that unlike Barisan Nasional, Pakatan Rakyat actually has a constitution. We don't call it a constitution, we call it common policy framework. But we have a very detailed structure and policies that bind us. Anything that is not agreed within that framework is not considered part of the consensus, and therefore it's not Pakatan's policies. You go and ask Barisan Nasional, they have been there for almost 60 years. You cannot find a single document that binds them all together. It's pretty much been decided by UMNO in the cabinet. It's just that after 60 years, because they have a track record, people form an opinion about what Barisan Nasional stands for as far as policies are concerned. But if you pit us and Barisan Nasional on equal footing, put aside the 60 years track record that Barisan Nasional has, you will see that Barisan Nasional will struggle to agree on one common thing, because they never sit down. Barisan Nasional Council, as a coalition party of 14 parties, rarely sit, as opposed to the leadership councils of Pakatan Rakyat, which sits every fortnight, for example. So again, if we talk about whether or not we have plans, of course we have plans. We have constitutions. We have translated that into policies at the states level. All we need is just that vote to be in Putrajaya. The rest, I think, we know what to do, inshallah. I'd like to touch a bit. Brother Farouk asked about Malay identity from the Muslim identity. I think the last 20 years have seen a radical shift. Well, I think after 2008 there is some sense of alarming developments, lurchings to the far right on the UMNO's part. But generally in the society, you can see that the Malays and non-Malays converge to the center. That's why there are a lot of discussions and discourses which would have been a taboo back in 1980s and 90s that could have been discussed very openly now. Hudud, for example, in 1990, in fact, as recent as 2004, 2003, a disagreement on hudud break a political alliance. Nobody in the past could tell in past what to do when it comes to Sharia law. But because of partly because of Pakatan, I think, but partly because society has evolved as well, embrace openness and open discourses, what you see is a consensus building and understanding. The non-Malays now, I think, have a lot higher understanding of what Sharia laws means to the Malays. And likewise, even the most conservative leaders in past would have recognized by now the need to engage the non-Malay crowd. And that's why the prevailing thoughts in past, in my opinion, is that you have to educate and you have to convince people that Sharia laws is actually good for the community. You can no longer impose. So the thinking has shifted radically from the 80s, 70s, where parties like PAS feel that it's their right to impose on the country, to what we have now, where people actually sit down and try to understand and communicate, agree to disagree. So long as we open this channel for discussion and open discourses, and I think so long as we support the need to build consensus in the society, I think that the society will mature itself, and who knows what will happen in 20, 30 years time. I can't tell. What I can tell is that people is a lot more willing to listen and engage, and to me that's a good thing, and that bodes well for the country as far as religious differences is concerned. And finally, the cows. I was unlucky to a certain extent, because there are many people who could have been asked to study further the cow scandal. I was the one who was asked. So I remember one day, about 3 months back, reluctantly I had to go and count cows in Gemas. And there were not many cows. They were supposed to have 276,000 cows. What I counted that day was 4 cows that I could see with my that I could see with my